everyone, Nubkeks here and welcome back to the road to Grandmaster. Today we're going to be playing Sergeant Hammer. There's also no draft in this video. Basically I've been grinding out quite a bit of Hero League off the camera, I've been trying to get a Stitches game. I also had like a disconnect and lost a whole bunch of rank points. I've been trying to grind those back up. And then also just, get more fun heroes, like this late in the season. With the meta being fairly stable for a little while now. I tend to be playing a lot of the same heroes every single game, and you guys obviously don't want to see, a whole bunch of Ragnaros videos or like a Vala video every day. So, I like to bring you different things. So I've been playing more games, like in order to do that, listening to music or watching YouTube shows on my second monitor while doing so, to just make it a bit more enjoyable, pass the time a bit quicker for me. But yeah, in this case, I think, one of the last picks in the draft. So I didn't know I was going to be playing something interesting until then, and I forget what I was watching. Something fun though. It might have been the Yogscast. I haven't watched them in like years, but for some reason they Farming Simulator 2017. I was like, for whatever bizarre reason, I was like, I want to watch this. This appeals to me. So I've been watching that, and it's been great fun. Yeah, well, I think I was watching that during this. Probably should have dodged that. Oh well. But yeah, we're going to be playing Sergeant Hammer. So there you go. I started recording when we went into the game, so we'll get the gameplay. Missed the draft, but yeah, it was pretty much the last pick for our team. We already had Nazebo. Everything else was kind of hovered. We need like another ranged damage dealer. I said Hammer would fit well on this. We're gonna have a knockback against Ragnaros. We're gonna create some good pressure. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Doesn't work out the best in the early game, but I think you will see some more sort of, maybe in the mid game, there's a few sort of better Sergeant Hammer. Well, this is actually pretty good. Look at this. Hey, Kelthus. Hey, that's half your HP bar. See ya, buddy. Pretty cool. But yeah, Sergeant Hammer, she is... One thing I've really noticed from watching HGC, she was super highly valued in Korea, and not that much valued in other regions at all. Very, very interesting. But you can definitely play Hammer pretty aggressively, and you can set up, big lane pushes. Basically, it can be very difficult to actually counter push a Hammer. You really need to be fairly aggressive in order to get through that big range that she can have when she sets up. She doesn't have the highest damage output of heroes by any means. Like, Zul'jin does way more damage. We discovered that on stream once I was playing Sergeant Hammer, and I think we were full health. Zul'jin was about 30% health. I was like, we can win this, and he just killed us. It was pretty depressing, actually. Oh yeah, I remember this actually. There's a pretty good play here. Watch Dahaka, I think. Never mind, Dahaka's running away. Forget it! Forget what I said! No, maybe do watch Dahaka. Yeah, watch it. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Max range tongue. Gets the bright wing. We focus fire and pull her back. But yeah, Hammer's pretty good here. Like, for example, you can see we set up a really good position on the point. And the enemy team had such a hard time getting in and pushing us off. In fact, they lost Brightwing in order to do so. But yeah, we get on the point, we throw down our spider mines with the Q, in the brushes. It's just so hard for the enemy team to deal with that, right? We siege up a little bit behind. Like, how did they deal? It's so hard to deal with, right? Because you've got, there's these frickin' spider mines which are going to deal damage to you and slow you down in the fog of war. You got this big siege tank which is going to start shooting you. You can see, but I don't play Hammer very much, or haven't much recently. Got the siege range wrong, which is kind of funny. Also discovered in this game, which I didn't know, activating siege mode has a mana cost. There was one time during this game I was like, this is grand, trying to siege up. It's like, wait, the button's like blued out. What's going? We don't have it. It costs mana to siege up. You gotta be kidding me. But yeah, it costs mana to siege up. Heard it here first, folks. Heard it here first. And now we're putting on a pretty aggressive push. This is where Hammer kind of shines. We got so much range. Taika's actually knocking us back. What a jerk. Just going to keep poking. It doesn't actually matter too much that he knocked us out of range of the fort, because we weren't actually staying any longer to attack the fort. Which, yeah, like, you're pushing in with the Zerg wave. They can't really, the enemy team can't really push out to get on top of you without, a very big commitment. And certainly with the Taika's Kelthus team, they're not going to be doing that in very an early game. So it enables us to be very aggressive. We siege up, we just start, shelling away, outputting the maximum Sergeant Hammer damage, and there's very little they can do about it. It's kind of guaranteed damage on the fort. That's what she does well. Let's talk about talents now, as we've further outlined the basics of what Hammer does. At level 1, I do like Advanced Artillery, which increases the damage you deal to distance enemies by 10%. I remember, it's kind of funny, it's her trait, right? Which is... I think when I first read it, it was just you do up to 30% more damage to heroes that are further away, and I thought like that scales like progressively, so you want to be as far away as possible. It's actually excuse me. My God, I don't know. Actually, I'm reading the talent calculator now, and this is actually a terrible description. Oh well, I'm not sure. Huh. This is very funny. Weird. So the description I'm reading right now says Sergeant Hammer's basic attack range is 6.5 units further than other ranged heroes, which obviously isn't true. I'm not sure what that is. Like Siege Mode increases their attack range by 5.05 apparently, which is an odd number. They should round that down just for, you know, simplicity's sake. But anyway, it doesn't matter too much. Basically, it's roughly speaking, if they're about past the 50% mark here of our siege range, we're going to be doing extra damage. For the most part, it's if you're like with your normal attacks, if you're hitting them near max range, you're doing 30% extra damage. If you're hitting them past the halfway mark of your siege up mode, you're doing 30% extra damage. This level 1 talent knocks that up to 40% extra damage. So you're definitely incentivized on Hammer to play from a distance, that's for sure. I mean, you're going to be doing it naturally, but it's just worth noting. Level 4, grab focus attack. So every 10 seconds, our next basic attack against a hero will do bonus damage. You can see here, actually dodge the flame strike kind of conveniently, but we're trying to save ETC, knocking back the enemy heroes and whatnot. Varian actually goes down. ETC does die to the bomb right there. We pop our thrusters on Hammer, start the chase, gonna poke in, get a few extra shots off on Kelthus, just punish him. That's something you can do on Hammer, right? Your thrusters are not for running away. While they certainly do that, you can also use them to be fairly aggressive and move in and start punishing heroes. That's her mount ability. Gives you 60% move speed for 4 seconds. It's a lot of move speed. Last 4 seconds, actually quite a while, but you can, like, you become change from being one of the most immobile heroes really to being like the most mobile hero in the entire game, pretty much. So you can definitely use that and punish people. Now right here, Varian was going to be able to stun us, and then Kelthus could follow up with a stun, we'd be hit by a flame strike, possibly a bomb as well. He actually didn't have enough mana to do that, but yeah, it definitely wasn't a position we really wanted to be in. So we actually just used the thrusters there to just run away, escape a bit, and things are going to be fine. Actually take a big hit here. Pop first aid. That's my level 7 talent, and hey, it works. Look at that. Run up to the north in case Tychus had a grenade. We took a bunch of damage there. Went a bit too far forwards. But yeah, first aid heals you for 35% if your max health over 6 seconds. Just a nice little bit of extra survivability. I do probably overall prefer the thruster cooldown at level 7. But in this game, I said, you know, first aid is actually going to be the thing we go for. I'm not going to need the thrusters to like escape from things too much. We got a pretty strong front line with ETC to Haka. In fact, a very strong front line. And the enemy team is more backline focused really than frontline focused. I mean, they've got Ragnaros, but we can knock him away. They've got Varian, but I mean, most of their damage is ranged. And then, like I said, we don't have to worry about Rag pretty much at all because we've got our W, which knocks him backwards. We'll never actually be hit by him. So yeah, we're gonna grab first aid in this game for a bit of extra sustain, and worked out well there. One thing I noticed was that we're actually really bad at clearing this out when we're not in siege mode, so I learned that. I was like, yeah, definitely want to be in siege, back into siege mode, boys. Let's clear out this Zerg wave. Actually didn't help much. This is also something that Hammer does that's really, really useful, right? Is right here, we have a Zerg wave pushing top. We could push with the Zerg wave, but we can also just ignore the Zerg wave and push separately. And now the enemy team is in a rough spot where we can just siege up here, push them in. Actually sieged up out of range of the fort again because I'm a big noob. Siege up properly in range of the fort, making well sure we're in range of the fort. But yeah, we could just siege up on a different lane, and then the enemy team's in a really tough position. Let's say they send, luckily Kelthus messed that. That's good. Thanks, KT. But, okay, let's say, like in this case, if they send 2 heroes to defend against the Zerg wave, once again, we're going to use our thrusters to come in aggressively here and chase down the Ragnaros, pick him off. You actually do quite a bit of damage as Hammer with your right clicks. If they send 2 heroes to defend, and they leave 3 heroes down bottom lane, in this case we sent 2 heroes to attack, and we sent 3 heroes down bottom lane, so 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3. It means that, well, 2 versus 2 with a Zerg wave, that our team will ultimately win. Now, in this case they had Ragnaros, so I think we didn't get too much damage done with the Zerg wave, but still. But then in the bottom 3 versus 3, because we got Hammer, we can siege up. We can actually get some guaranteed fort damage, and indeed we did. We actually got to take out the fort by split pushing with Hammer. And because we have the objective and it's so much stronger, the enemy team has to invest more of their defensive resources into defending against the Zerg wave, which means they don't have those resources to put against the hammer, which means that, hey, sure, we didn't get the most out of the Zerg wave as we could have with the wave itself, but we got a fort because we had hammer split pushing inner siege mode, and they just couldn't actually deal with the hammer. So they didn't have enough heroes left in order to do so. That's just a kind of neat little tip. Napalm Strike, by the way, level 10. It's a lot of extra wave clear, a lot of extra damage. I love this heroic. I think it's fantastic. And with that, we're going to rotate, and now we're going to focus on top lane. We took out bottom lane. Now we're going to hammerify the top lane. That's our goal right here. Come in, knock back the Ragnaros. We're in a pretty rough spot right there, so I just want to help my team escape, make sure they're going to be okay. Gonna grab this for some mana. I actually started having mana issues because we literally haven't Hearthstone this game, I don't think. But yeah. We could tap a well as well. At the moment, though, we just want to fight over these points. We already have top to hack grab bottom, so we want to stay here for the time being. We can back off soonish. Actually get hit by Ragnaros this time. Pop first aid to make sure we stay alive. Don't have enough mana for a knockback. That's okay. I have enough damage for an ore. Gonna focus down the Rag. Pretty nice stuff. Varian gets cleansed out, so he's not gonna go down. ETC does die. But we have control of bottom. We take out him. Oh, Brightwing just about escapes by the skin of her teeth. Hacker's on the chase. I don't think he's going to get anything out of this. We're going to follow him in. Get the speed boost over just to give him a bit of backup. Make sure he gets out of here. And give a little bit of poke damage to KT as we back off. Very good. Level 13, I grabbed Giant Killer. Basic attacks against enemy heroes do 1.5% of their max health as bonus damage. That's really going to help us with, killing Varian. It's also going to be very good against Rag. And yeah, it's just going to add up to quite a bit. We're going to siege up and wipe out this Zerg wave. And at this stage, the enemy team, with them being dead and so far out, we don't actually need to tap the well here. We can just come up and just kill this fort as quickly as possible. They're in no position to actually contest this fort, so just get rid of that. Then we can regroup, reassess, and deal with things from there. In fact, we're actually going to be able to push in and do some damage to this keep wall because they have to defend the Zerg wave. Again, using the hammer split push. Pretty cool. Take down one tower. Alright, cancel out of that. Move across. Fire off the ore. And this is the point where I was like, hey, wait a second. I can't get siege mode? You're going to see me hovering the thing. I'm like, oh, 20 mana to activate. Okay, gotcha. It's free to cancel, but it costs 20 mana to activate. I never knew that was a thing. So there you go. Learning something new. Learning something new about Hammer. How often do you have less than 20 mana? It's the first time it's ever happened to me on Hammer. I think I'm level 9 on Hammer as well. But that's kind of funny. I was like, okay, read the tooltip. Oh yeah, cool, gotcha. Good to know. Need to Hearthstone so and get some mana. Once you get Napalm Strike as well, you do start burning through it a bit more. I come over here, clear out this wave, and let's see what happens then. The enemy team is pushing up fairly aggressively. Yeah, I'm not going to Hearthstone. We're going to be fine grabbing this regen glow for the moment, it looks like, but... Okay, there we go. We get mostly deny that. Got a Hearthstone back. Get some proper mana here. Alright, well and good. There we go. On the way. Our teammates do take this opportunity to fight. Let's ping and retreat. And guys, I'm not here. But look at that. Really well played by Nazebo. Completely catches Tychus out. He is not quite dead, but very close to being dead. Well played. Telling my team I'm not there. And you can see now, this is where it starts to change. This is where the numbers advantage really takes its toll. Gonna knock Ragnaros back into the mosh pit. Trying to focus down the Tychus because Ragnaros shouldn't be a problem. He's actually healing up through all of that though, thanks to his level 13 talent where he heals from the damage he does with his minigun. Now on the chase, knock KT off his horse. Trying to catch him out of position. Doesn't quite work. We burned all of our stuff. But yeah, fight worked out surprisingly well. I think Nazebo kind of carried that initial fight by getting Tychus so low. Which you could definitely see where the fight started to turn, which is where the numbers advantage started to tell. And then we arrived and then it kind of swung back. ETC landed a very good mosh pit. And yeah, it kind of worked out pretty well in the end. Now level 16, I had some interesting choices here. I think this is a really good talent here for Sergeant Hammer. She's fairly cookie cutter, unfortunately, on most of them. But this talent here, I'm like, okay, I like every single talent on this tier. I would choose every single talent on this one in different situations. In this game, I went for Executioner. We have ETC with Mosh Pit. We have to hack it with Drags. We have a lot of heroes that are bringing quite a lot of CC. That's plenty of setup for me. In fact, I've even got slows with the slowing mines as well. So I said, you know what, and our ETC's been fairly beast with the mosh pit so far. He's been doing a great job. So I said, you know what, we're going to grab Executioner, 30% more damage on our basic attacks whenever we hit someone that is stunned, slowed, or even rooted, though I don't think we have any roots. Yeah, we don't have any roots. But slowed or stunned, that's just fine. Ragnaros is going to defend against this boss. I'm actually going to come join this fight because there is a big fight erupting down here. KT without any mana. Team is going fairly. We could have actually flanked to the left hand side here. Come in behind with a flank, knock them back with a W. This is what I'm trying to do against Varian. Unfortunately, I didn't time it right. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can interrupt his charge with the knockback. Your concussive blast, and then we could have got a Varian kill probably. Didn't quite get it right though, and he actually got the stun off. Bit of a mind game thing, and he won. Of who uses their ability first. Which I didn't get the timing right, and he got away with it. Now the good news is that Molten Core was down because it was used to stop the boss. And in fact, the keep still took some damage, which means that this is going to be a very big Zerg push for us. We have a talent tier advantage as well. So I'm going to move in here. I'm going to start taking down this keep as much as possible. I actually got hit by one Flame Strike by Kel'Thuz. You would notice as well, I didn't mention this, but during the laning phase, I eventually learned, during the game, that, oh hey, we should like move in and siege up once Kel'Thuz has used Flame Strike. That's when we move in, not before or after. That's when we move in. Really nice mosh pit landed, actually got 3 heroes. Beautiful drag follows up, that's Brightwing down as well, and with that, that's gonna be game. 3 enemy heroes dead, talents here up, Zerg wave at the core, and more importantly, we've got Sergeant Hammer at the core as well, so we got more than enough damage. GG everyone, well played, all around. And with that, the core goes down. There you go, guys. That is it's a fairly good Sergeant Hammer game. Like I said, the start of it was a bit awkward. One of the things I learned in this game was, okay, well, you know, Kel'Thuz is obviously going to get free Flame Strike stacks off us. I mean, we could dodge the Flame Strike when he activates it if we use our thrusters, but I mean, that's a 30-second cooldown. Plus, Flame Strike's like, what, like 10 seconds? Something like that? I don't know. Something like that. 8 seconds? I don't know. Ask me tough questions here, guys. But yeah, we don't really want to do that. Instead, what I started doing a little bit, sometimes anyway, was, okay, he used Flame Strike. Now we move in, we siege up, and then we can start shelling away. Until he uses Flame Strike, though, we're going to hold on to that so we don't give him some free stacks. I don't know if he finished the quest in the end. I think he did, actually. And then at that point, we could just kind of soak them up a bit more. Well, yeah, just kind of like moving in aggressively. You can see a few things in that game. Pushing with the objective as hammer, then split pushing aside from the objective as hammer. Defending control points, setting up your mines, sieging up in a good position to just threaten away, and just makes it so hard for the enemy to push in and contest you. Brax's Holdout, definitely one of her better maps, I think. Definitely one of her better maps, where, she's pretty good at clearing the Zerg wave pretty quickly. Napalm Strike is fantastic. The splash damage from your siege mode is fantastic. The spider mines get a lot of value on this map. And yeah, you don't have to worry too much about flanks and stuff like that. So it's a very, very good map for her. And that was kind of like a very smooth game, really. Kind of like we got the most and the best out of Sergeant Hammer. You can see our teammates were kind of concerned at the start. They were going to lose the lanes. In fact, we actually won pretty much the entire thing pretty well. The enemy team was, I wouldn't say at any point were they really ahead, or for very little of the game were they even. I think it's fair to say. But yeah, the talent build, again, to go over it, advanced artillery at level 1, focused attacks at level 4, first aid at level 7, napalm strike at 10, giant killer at 13, execution at 16, and then I would have picked up Nexus Frenzy at level 20, which gives you 20% more attack speed and gives you an extra 1.1 units of range. It's just really, really nice. I mean, most of your damage is coming from your right clicks, from your basic attacks, and that's basically a 20%, roughly speaking, damage increase. I mean, it's hard to quantify how much damage the range actually adds, or how much the attack speed actually adds if you ever use all of it. It's a really big damage increase, though. It's very useful, and you do get some serious range with that. I do love, probably my favorite talent, or one of my favorite talents for her, is actually graduating range at level 16. Where you get an extra 1.1 range every 3 seconds in siege mode. It's pretty awesome. You can just siege up and you got like the biggest range ever. So useful for defending or for attacking as well. You can just like shell away, and it's so annoying to deal with on the enemy team. But yeah, in this case, I thought, you know, Executioner to work better with ETC and Dahaka and just get some kills would be the best thing to go for, and it worked out pretty well in the end. Give it a thumbs up, guys, if you enjoyed it. I haven't had many Hammer videos for you this season, and I really do think that she's a good hero. She's very much, for me, Sergeant Hammer, she's like the forgotten hero. There was about a week or two, right, where I think when they gave her focus attack level 4 and she had something else, I think like a range increase or something built into her base kit or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Something along those lines anyway, but like when focus attack came into the meta for Hammer anyway, there was a couple of weeks where she was like first pick, first ban, everyone thought she was crazy OP, and I don't think she was changed at all. She, like, the meta changed a little bit by itself, of course, which, you know, made her a little less relevant. And they changed other heroes here and there, and the warriors were changed a good bit, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I felt for quite a while now that she's been a really, really, really solid specialist. She's very good overall. She's a great, you know, just right-click damage dealer with fairly good zone control. And she's definitely underrated. I think she probably doesn't get played as much, at least in the Western regions, as she probably ought to be. And yeah, I mean, like heck, if you check out some of the Korean pro gameplay, you probably spy quite a bit of Sergeant Hammer coming out over there, and you can see what those guys make happen with her on the different maps as well, if you want to find out a bit more after this game. So guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Bye bye.